And there's a lot at stake for opposition's India alliance in Mumbai as it gears up for its third crucial meeting. Several key decisions are expected, like the grouping's logo, a coordination committee, and the latest on the seat-sharing formula. Today at the press conference at the Mahavikas Agadi Alliance, they claimed 28 parties are now part of the grouping. That's up from 26. And in a jibe at the centre, they claimed that the prices of gas cylinders were brought down by the government just ahead of their third meet.
Posters and banners put up across Mumbai welcoming leaders of the India Alliance for their third meeting, where 28 opposition parties will meet to discuss their plans for the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. The united opposition is expected to draft its common minimum program, and a 11-member coordination committee could also be named.
हमारी तीसरी मीटिंग होने जा रही है और आज ही गैस सिलेंडर के दाम 200 रुपए से कम हो गए। शायद मुझे ऐसे लगता है कि जैसे जैसे इंडिया आगे बढ़ेगा, एक दिन ऐसे आएगा कि आज की सरकार गैस सिलेंडर फ्री में दे देगी, सबको फ्री, क्योंकि वो सरकार अभी गैस पर है।
The question of opposition unity too needs to be settled. For instance, there is speculation whether the Shiromani Akali Dal, which counts both the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party as opponents in Punjab, will attend this meeting, or whether they can be brought on board.
हमारे साथ केजरीवाल है, पंजाब की हुकूमत उनके हाथ में है, कांग्रेस पार्टी की वहाँ नीति अलग है, और इसलिए हम जिससे हमारे डिफरेंसेस बढ़ेंगे ऐसा काम कुछ नहीं करेंगे।
The responsibility of arranging the India meeting in Mumbai has been divided between the three parties of the Mahavikas Agadi Alliance, and the leaders of the NDTV Alliance want to give their own example to the leaders of the India Alliance on how the parties with different ideologies can come together and form the government. In Mumbai, with camera person Rajendra Dayalkar, Sohit Mishra, NDTV.
And Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, who is in Mumbai for the India Alliance meeting, today tied Rakhi on Uddhav and Aditya Thackeray, and also met Amitabh Bachchan and his family, who she referred to as Bharat Ratna Amitabh Bachchan. But when asked about possible PM faces for the opposition, she said there have been no conversations on this yet, and whoever it will be will represent India. That's their alliance. There have been several challenges for the India grouping, and one of them is having too many Prime Minister hopefuls. Though Uddhav Thackeray hit back, claiming multiple PM candidates is a good thing. Here are the reactions.
आप मुझसे पूछेंगे तो मैं तो चाहूंगी अरविंद केजरीवाल जी हो प्रधानमंत्री के उम्मीदवार भी, और जनता के मुद्दे उठाते हैं, लगातार एक चैलेंजर की तरह वो उभरे हैं, देखे जा सकते हैं प्रधानमंत्री मोदी के आगे।
प्रियंका जी को कहना चाहिए अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के लिए, समाजवादी पार्टी की कार्यकर्ता होते हुए मैं ये कहूँगी कि अखिलेश यादव जी को चेहरा होना चाहिए प्रधानमंत्री का, लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री के चेहरे का निर्णय सभी गठबंधन के इंडिया के दल बैठकर सामूहिक रूप से लेंगे।
हमारे पास प्रधानमंत्री बनने के लिए चॉइस बहुत है। सवाल यह है कि भाजपा के पास और चॉइस क्या है? जो 10 साल बैठे थे उन्होंने क्या किया सब लोग देख रहे हैं, सब लोगों ने उनका अनुभव लिया है।
हमारा कोई ये बात हमारा सेकेंडरी है, हमारा प्राइमरी बात है कि हम इंडिया को बचाए, देश को बचाए, पीएम का चेहरा इंडिया होगा।
And farmer protests in Karnataka have been intensifying over Kaveri's water sharing. Protests have increased after Kaveri Water Regulation Committee's recommendation that Karnataka should release 5,000 cusecs of water for next 15 days to Tamil Nadu. They are protesting in Mandya since morning and plan to protest all through the night, holding torches. Karnataka's Deputy Chief Minister is scheduled to travel to Delhi tomorrow to discuss the Kaveri issue. And Janata Dal secular leader and former Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy was hospitalized earlier in the day after weakness and discomfort. He was admitted at the Apollo Hospital in Jayanagar, Bengaluru. He arrived around 3:40 in the morning with weakness and discomfort. He was immediately evaluated and initiated the treatment for which he has responded well, the hospital said in a statement. And as the Congress completed 100 days in power in Karnataka, the Siddaramaiah government launched their fourth guarantee, the Gruha Lakshmi scheme, which offers 2,000 rupees monthly assistance to more than 1 crore women who had heads of their families. NDTV's Pratibha reports from Mysuru, where the event was held. Congress in Karnataka celebrated its 100 days of governance with the launch of its costliest scheme, Gruha Lakshmi, that promises 2,000 rupees per month to women heads of households. The event was planned at Siddaramaiah's home ground, Mysuru, which was presided by the top brass, including Rahul Gandhi and Mallikarjun Kharge.
कि जब कांग्रेस पार्टी कुछ कहती है, जब कांग्रेस पार्टी के नेता कुछ कहते हैं, तो हम वो करके दिखाते हैं.
Around 10 women walked out with 2,000 rupees in their accounts and a wide smile on their faces.
ಬಂದಿದೆ ಮೇಡಮ್, ನಮಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗೈತೆ. ನಂಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು ಖುಷಿ ಆಗೈತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಮರಿಗೆ ಬುಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ನಂಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಅಳ್ತಿದೆ. ಈಗ ಅದು ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಂಗೆ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗೈತೆ, ಧೈರ್ಯನೂ ಬಂದೈತೆ.
The only rider is that this can be availed by only those families that do not file GST and income tax returns. How foolproof is the verification?
तो जितने भी आधार कार्ड लिंक रेशन कार्ड है, उससे हमको पता चलेगा कि दे टैक्स पे है या नॉन टैक्स पे है, जीएसटी पे है या नॉन जीएसटी पे है.
After introducing Kutumba software, many of the duplications have been eradicated.
Well, some women said that if they didn't receive the money, they would feel extremely helpless. There were others who benefited from the scheme and seemed to suggest that they were extremely grateful and would return the favor in the form of votes. Is this a deliberate attempt by the Congress to project themselves well and bag women's votes? Will the Congress party benefit in 2024? With camera person Govind, Pratibha Raman in Mysuru for NDTV.
And Muslims living and working in Haryana's Gurugram apparently continue to be the target of hate crimes after posters threatening the residents of a slum in Sector 69A of the mega city were put up on Sunday night. A majority of the residents of this slum are Muslims. There were also posters specifically targeting Muslim women, and these come days after a mazar in a Gurugram village was set on fire in the tension after communal clashes in neighbouring New district.
These posters with open threats are giving Muslim workers sleepless nights in Gurugram. The posters were put up on Sunday night in various slums. They read, "Slum dwellers, you need to vacate your homes by August 28 and leave. Otherwise, you may have to face bad consequences. If you want to save your honor, you just have 2 days." After receiving information about the posters, top police officials reached the spot and got the posters removed. An FIR was also filed.
पेपर के ऊपर कुछ बातें इस तरह की लिखी गई हैं कि झुग्गीवासियों को झुग्गियाँ खाली करने के लिए 2 दिन का समय दिया था, नहीं तो झुग्गियाँ जलाने की धमकी दी गई थी. इसके बारे में सूचना मिली थी, तो सूचना के बाद पुलिस यहाँ पर पहुँची है और इसके बाद जो आवश्यक कानूनी कार्रवाई है वो की जाएगी इसमें, और जो इसके जिम्मेदार जल्दी वो गिरफ्तार कर लिया जाएगा.
Most of the women living in these slums work as domestic helps in the high-rise flats nearby. After the posters were put up, these women are scared.
उसका भय थोड़ा बहुत रहेगा, 1 दिन 2 दिन बना हुआ, नहीं तो फिर जैसे लोग काम पे चले जाते हैं से चले जाएंगे. सुबह तो सब 5 बजे से उठते हैं, 6 बजे 8 बजे तो सब काम पे रहते हैं. सिर्फ बच्चे रहते हैं, बच्चे का डर रहेगा बस.
क्या करते हो आप यहाँ पे?
काम मेरा अच्छे से काम करते हैं.
अच्छा, ये कोठियों में
हम लोग सारा काम
साफ सफाई का खाना.
After the new unrest and reports of violence against Muslim shopkeepers in Gurugram, many families fled from these slums out of fear. These posters have made the people who stayed back nervous. The police is yet to arrest those behind the posters. With Saurabh Shukla in Gurugram, Bureau Report, NDTV.
And at a time when China has released a new map laying claim over Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin, now satellite images have emerged which show how China is ramping up the construction of reinforced bunkers and underground facilities in Aksai Chin. The big question is, why is China hardening its military presence in Ladakh? Is it a counter to India's Air Force advantage? Vishnu Som reports.
Well, 60 kilometers east of the Depsang Plains in northern Ladakh, Chinese forces have begun carving tunnels and shafts, as we will show you, into a hillside along a narrow river valley. An image of that you can see behind me. Why? To construct multiple reinforced shelters and bunkers for soldiers and weaponry. The site identified in this report lies in Aksai Chin, that is Indian territory, but it lies east of the line of actual control. That is territory being illegally held by China. So let's first bring you the location. Now the location of the site where China is digging into hillsides to create a giant subterranean military complex there on your screen. It is in Aksai Chin. Look at the map on your left. It lies about 60 kilometers to the east of the line of actual control. The map on your right gives you an idea of where in India it actually is. Now the image you see here shows a location in the valley which I identified, where we've circled 4 clear tunnel entrances, and we'll show you many more of these, the Chinese cutting in to the rock face. The image of another location at this complex shows perhaps the clearest images of the tunnel. As you can see, there are 2 distinct entrances at this location. There are also reinforced personnel bunkers over here. We have marked that. Entry and exit routes have a distinctive fork shape to dissipate the impact of bombardment. The entry and exit routes marked on the right of this image. So the big question is this, and we'll show you more images soon. Why is China doing this? Now we've spoken to leading satellite imagery analysts from around the world, China experts. Here's what they have to say. By establishing underground facilities and developing subterranean infrastructure in such proximity to the border, Chinese strategists seem to be aiming to counterbalance the current advantage held by the Indian Air Force. That's what Damien Simon, a leading satellite imagery expert, has to say. It is clear that China is hardening its military presence in Ladakh against possible artillery and airstrikes in the event of a full-scale military escalation. That's what Simtak, the chief military analyst at Force Analysis, says. One more reaction. China's creation of permanent bunkers and other fortifications in Aksai Chin meshes with its border intransigence, with no sign that it is willing to climb down to some extent to end the extended military standoff with India, says Brahmachalani. But what we can now actually do is bring you more detailed images of what we are talking about. First up, here are images of several structures built in the area in addition to the tunnels that we've described. So there are literally dozens of structures, not just the subterranean component that we spoke about, but also dozens of structures built above the land. And this image that we can now show you also shows a military township almost being developed. It's almost an L shape along this gigantic river valley, and there are multiple structures, and as we've mentioned to you, and this is the big story, at least 10 tunnel entrances either constructed or being constructed, which is why this represents a new and present threat. Now the entire issue of Aksai Chin, where this site is located, and the river valley I was referring to is what is actually the image behind me. The issue of Aksai Chin again came up in the last 48 hours, with China releasing the latest edition of its so-called standard map, which includes all of Aksai Chin and Arunachal Pradesh as part of its territory. In an exclusive interview to NDTV's Sanjay Pugalia yesterday, the Foreign Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, rubbished those claims, which he said were a repeat of what Beijing has been saying in the past as well.
China has even in the past put out maps which claim the territories which are not China's, which belong to other countries. This is an old habit of theirs. It is not something which is new. It started in the 1950s. So just by putting out a map claiming territories, some of which are part of India, I think doesn't make that. These are very much part of India. So I would say, but I would not relate the two countries. I think we are very clear. We are very clear what our territories are. This government is very clear about what we need to defend our territories. You can already see that on our borders. I think there should be no doubt about that. Just making absurd claims doesn't make other people's territory yours. Let's be very clear on that.
Welcome back. And we have been hearing about so much of rain havoc in several parts of India, including Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, as well as Northeast. But India is actually likely to see the driest ever August since 1901 at least, when the country officially began keeping weather records. Now, the monsoon is expected to recover significantly after September 4th, but it's not going to be an easy time ahead for India.
A significant decline in monsoon rainfall during the month of August has made it the driest ever August since the Indian Met Department started collecting monsoon rainfall data. According to sources, the rainfall deficiency during August is expected to be around 30%, though no official figures have been released so far.
As we already forecasted in the month of May itself, the first 2 months in the monsoon season, June, July, will be normal. But whereas in the second half, especially in the August and September, it will be less normal because of El Nino impact.
Between 1st June and 29th August, during the ongoing southwest monsoon season, the overall rainfall deficiency has reached 9%. In these latest INSAT 3D satellite images, you can very clearly see that except some parts of eastern India, especially the coastal belt here, and some parts of southern India, especially Tamil Nadu, there are very few clouds that are visible in most parts of the country.
According to the latest data released by the Met Department, on the 30th of August, between June 1st and August 30th, Kerala had the highest deficit of 48%, Jharkhand at 36%, Bihar at 26%, Uttar Pradesh at 15% and West Bengal at 13%.
यानी कुछ रिकवरी होगी ओवरऑल मॉनसून की?
हाँ जी, ईस्ट इंडिया में कुछ रिकवरी होने की प्रोबेबिलिटी है.
The uneven monsoon this year has led to an exceptionally heavy rainfall in some states like Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, while a large part of the country is struggling to cope with a below normal monsoon. With video journalist Manoj Kumar and Himanshu Shekhar Mishra, Bureau Report, NDTV.
And Delhi has emerged as the world's most polluted city in a new study, which also found that its residents are on track to lose 11.9 years of life if the current levels of pollution persist. The Air Quality Life Index released by the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago also showed that all of India's 1.3 billion people live in areas where the annual average particulate pollution level exceeds the permissible limits set by the World Health Organization. It also found that 67.4% of the country's population lives in areas that exceed the country's own national air quality standard.
Air pollution remains the greatest threat to human health. As per a latest report, not a single nation across the globe has achieved the air quality benchmark set by the World Health Organization. The report by the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago says air pollution reduces global life expectancy by 2.3 years, or permanently reducing particulate pollution to the WHO guideline would mean the world's population would gain a total of 17.8 billion life years. The report states that India's entire population lives in areas where the annual average particulate pollution level exceeds the limit set by the World Health Organization. Now, over 67% live in areas that exceed India's own air quality standard, and pollution shortens the average Indian's life expectancy by 5.3 years. Now, as per the report, Delhi is the most polluted, and citizens are said to lose nearly 12 years of life to pollution alone. In fact, even in at least the least polluted areas, in Pathankot, for instance, pollution is over 7-fold the WHO limit. Important to note here that South Asia continues to be the global epicenter, with Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, China, Nigeria and Indonesia worst affected. As per the study conducted at overall, an average South Asian would live 5.1 years longer if 4 countries in the region reduced pollution levels altogether and met the WHO guideline. Now remember, pollution causes over 3 times the harm of alcohol use or unsafe water.